I just wanted to remind folk, remind myself and remind us all really, that I was just thinking when I was bowing, that, is that somebody coming in or going out, or is it Marty? Mysterious guest is going to arrive. Oh, it's Marty, he's arrived from the motorway. You made it. Hi. Yeah, when we bow, I know particularly if you've come from a more religious background, particularly from it seems to really wind up people who've come from a Catholic background and wants to escape it when we bow. But always remember that we're bowing to our own. We're not bowing to Kanzio, no. We're not bowing to the Buddha. We're bowing to our own Buddha nature. So when we raise our hands, well, what we're actually doing is we're raising the world above our own ego. It's really worth remembering that. You know, it's not like a bow of submission or surrender. It's a bow of honouring your own Buddha nature and making a vow that you will put the rest of the world above your own ego. It's a tough challenge, but that's the plan. And also when this figure of Kanzio here, she's of course simply symbolic, and she symbolically represents the whole intention of the practice, really, you know, which is that this one isn't particularly, but he's standing on a lotus flower coming out of mud. You know, she stands on something that comes out of mud and looks everywhere with lots of eyes and lots of hands for all the ways that she can help. So that's we bow to that as well. Which is in ourselves, you know, it's our own aspiration. It's not out there. It's not separate from us. And yeah, and you know, all the things on the altar, they all represent all the aspects of life. You know, there's flower and incense and candles, fire and earth and all those things. There's lots of symbolism going on there, which we can get into automatic. And also, when we chant the sutras, you know, the Heart Sutra and the Relative and Absolute Sutra, they both contain completely the essence of this whole practice. So every now and again, when you're chanting it, try and articulate the words in your head. You know? I want to talk tonight about being blocked. You know, how we get blocked. What being blocked means. Being blocked, and being blocked, I suppose, in a way, being stuck. And I think I don't know whether it's true for you, but it's certainly been true for me, that deep down, I think for most of us, we'd really like to know. We'd really like to know what this life was about. You know, what's the point? Is that true? You know, it would be kind of settling, wouldn't it, if we really knew? And of course, the people that do think that they really know about the way life should be and what its point is, are the people who actually cause a terrible lot of trouble, because they want the rest of us to follow that particular, you know, vision or line of thought that they have. It's really important to remember that this practice is the practice of not knowing. You know, it's the practice of not knowing. It's not the practice of knowing. We don't know. And the reason we don't know is that we can't know because we're it. And we can't in any way stand somewhere outside of it to look in and say that's what it is. You know, it's just from a Buddhist perspective, of course, everything manifests the great life or our authentic nature. So we can't know it. And you can bang your head on the wall for a long time thinking that you might discover and know what it is, and many people have, and many philosophers have, and most have come to the view that it can't be talked about, it can't be said, it can't be articulated. And you know, as well as wanting to know, I think we'd all like something to hold on to that would comfort us, you know, comfort us at any time. And much of what we do most of the time is to try and achieve that, trying to achieve something, or be in a place or a frame of mind in which we're comforted, or at least feeling okay, you know. And the things we most want to, and certainly it's the case for me, avoid are painful things. You know, we don't want painful things in our lives. And yet, I think it was Dogen said that, I've written down, to be blocked by the way is the way. To be blocked by the way is the way. Being blocked cannot be escaped. So it's beautiful, it's ugly, it's everywhere you look, and you can't escape it, whatever it is, and it causes pain, difficulties sometimes, and it blocks us. And I think most of us would like to avoid those blocks and try and sidestep them or avoid them. And yet, what Dogen's saying is that the blockage, whatever it is that's causing us to be stuck or causing us to be afraid, is the way. It is the route to the way. And I think in Buddha's own life that was exemplified. I mean, there seems to be maybe I had it as well a long time ago, but I can't remember. I've lost it now. But this idea that somehow there's an enlightened place to be where everything will be trouble-free, and there isn't such a place. I'm sure even the Buddha had problems. You know, it's how we perceive and how we look at them. So. The intention, my sense of the intention of our practice is, and it's quite difficult, you know, is that when we're in the middle of a difficult patch, or it's messy, or we can't see the way through, or it's painful, or that is the very time when we have to awaken and recognise that is the path. That is the vehicle. Does give you the opportunity to look into it, to be open to it, to be spacious, and relate to it, not in the way that we would normally do, which is to try and find a solution to avoid it or a different way of being, but to use it, to see it as part and parcel of our path. And it's exactly the same when we find ourselves thinking, this is not how my life should be. This isn't how it should be. It should be a different way. And once we start to relate to life in that way, our life, for me, my experience is life becomes kind of narrow and contained and fearful, and we're in a kind of, we're not in a place that's open or spacious. When we're thinking this isn't how it should be. I mean, we're normally thinking that because we're fearful of the outcome of the way it is now, or else it's painful. That doesn't of course mean that you have to like it. You know, you don't have to like it. It's the willingness to be open to the difficulties that life brings along. It's the willingness to be open to them. It's not that there's any obligation to like them. Okay. So, you know, in Zen, the kind of, I like it in a way, you know, it's very different than the usual perspective on what's valuable in being human. But in Zen they talk with admiration about the ordinary man of the way. So it's not the special man or the great man or the most creative man or the most powerful man or, of course, or woman. It's about the ordinary woman, let's say the ordinary woman of the way. The ordinary woman of the way. That's what's admired in Zen. Yeah. So, what does it mean to be an ordinary woman or an ordinary man of the way? It means, as I understand it, to fully appreciate your life just as it is now. And that may include difficulties. But I guess what it's really saying is that this ordinary, what we become immune to in a way, you know, when you look around, particularly, like for me, it's always been a struggle for me because I was born in this city and I left for many years and then came back, and staying alive and fresh in the place you were born in is really, I think, quite tough. You know, it's easier if you're somewhere else because it's different, but. The ordinary man of the way, or the ordinary woman of the way, endeavours or aspires to see the extraordinary in the ordinary things of life. And if you can succeed in that, it's wonderfully freeing because it doesn't cost you anything for a start. You don't have to travel. And you're surrounded by it all the time. You know, there's all things going on all the time out there that could be fascinating. You know, you don't have to go and see the Taj Mahal or go to the Himalayas or whatever. It's some exotic place. It's all happening on Hope Street if you want it to be. Or walk through town. I mean, if you put a different hat on and look through different eyes, the whole thing is really strange. That's what always tickles me. The whole business is really strange. And so the ordinary person of the way, let's say the ordinary person of the way, is the person who doesn't stand apart from it. You know, you don't stand apart from life. You are it, you know. The thing is, if we don't do that, you know, we don't appreciate our lives as they are. What we do, and what I've certainly done and did for many years, is you defer your life to the future. You keep thinking down the line, I'll find the right path, the right relationship, the right job, the right situation, and that can go on and on and on until you're dead. You know, it's only like 2 days before you think you've had the sentence, you're going to die in a few days, that you stop deferring to the future. You think, oh, this is it now. I don't have to worry anymore about, there's not going to be no more opportunities to think that I may find the way. So I've written with great wisdom down here. It says, by ongoingly aligning ourselves with the flow of our lives, we do, and I think pragmatically, I hope that you'll agree with me, we do gradually become free, more free, if you like, of the fear of impermanence. And it seems to me that the fear of impermanence is the very root of the human condition. The fear of impermanence is what motivates, so many things, from the pyramids to whatever. Fear of impermanence. We all want it to go on.
So what's impermanence?
Impermanence, change, constant change. Yeah. And in Buddhism they say impermanence is one of the conditions of life. That things will always change. So the whole business is a kind of struggle, and we can get lost in it and we can forget. But if within the midst of that struggle, if we can remember that this struggle is part and parcel of the path and of awakening, then it gives the struggle a whole different taste and flavour, and it can make it more bearable. It doesn't always work. We can get buried in the mud and lose it, but pragmatically, I do see the remembering to remember that this struggle is part and parcel of life is the one thing that we forget when we're in the middle of it. So we need a little reminder. Maybe you could put something on your fridge. This is it. Okay. Yeah. Who has an ongoing sense that something's lacking? Yeah, me too. So you have an ongoing sense that something is lacking. Sometimes it passes. Sometimes you can get a handle on yourself and say, relax. But most of us are burdened by this idea that there's something lacking. If you could bottle this, or, it could be a fantastic energy source, couldn't it? All that energy that goes into filling this lack that actually isn't there in the first place. Terrible waste. Okay. I'm done. Don't know whether he's got any comment or. Oh yeah.
Can I make a comment?
Sure. Is it? Do you want it on record?
No.
Okay.
You said Dogen sort of advising when you're blocked.
Yeah.
This is the ideal opportunity. This. It could sound a little bit like those American programs that say a down is an up waiting to happen.
I know, yeah.
Just at the point that you're feeling really shit, life is supposedly really great, and in a sense, there's no escape from this great opportunity. Is there? It's always an opportunity. But I just wondered what would it be an example for you of a sense of being blocked? Is it about transforming that as to seeing that the blockage actually represents the condition that you're trying to avoid?
Yeah, I think that's right. That's probably spot on. Yeah, being blocked is being in a situation that you don't want to be in and want to avoid. Yeah. And you're blocked. You're stuck in it. Yeah. And at the same time, just as you said, I'm really glad you said it, the last thing you want to say to a person, unless you want to punch, particularly from me, is that when you're feeling shit, oh, this is good for your practice. No, you don't want to say that. That's not sympathetic. It's okay saying it when you're up, but when you're down, no. Thanks.